What is this hidden code that seems to govern reality from behind the veil? And why would such a thing be framed as something you must watch before it disappears, as if truth itself could be silenced? Making choices and following plans, the sleep here is not about the body. It is about perception. It is the sleep of believing that the surface of things is all there is. It is the deep slumber of mistaking shadows for reality, of assuming that what the senses report to us is complete, that there is no depth beyond what can be measured, awakening, then, is a disruption of that certainty. It is the sudden recognition that reality has layers, and those layers reveal a different order of truth than what we had accepted. The idea of a hidden code suggests that reality is not random, are not disconnected fragments, but characters in a language we have forgotten how to read. To awaken spiritually is to begin remembering the alphabet of existence. There is a reason traditions. Destabilizing effect of seeing reality without its comfortable disguises. Imagine someone who has lived their entire life believing the earth is flat suddenly watching a ship sail beyond the horizon. Itself, you begin to realize that time, identity, matter, and even thought do not behave in the ways you assumed. You begin to sense a deeper architecture beneath them, one that does not play by the rules of common sense. And yet, this is not about mystical escapism. Spiritual awakening is not leaving the world behind in search of some abstract bliss. It is about seeing the world more truly, even when that truth is uncomfortable. It is about recognizing how society trains you to live in half-light, to consume, to repeat, to avoid deep questions. The hidden code is not a script written in the stars far beyond your reach. It is embedded in your daily life, in the way you think, in the patterns of your emotions, in the choices you make without asking why. It is written into your very body and consciousness. To awaken is not to fly away, it is to turn and look directly at what has always been present, but which you are taught to ignore. There is also danger in this, not physical danger, though sometimes those who guard the codes have punished those who question too much. The danger is psychological. To see too much too soon can destabilize the fragile structures that hold a person together. This is why some ancient teachers compared truth to fire. It illuminates, but it also burns. That is why some warnings were placed around sacred texts or esoteric teachings, not because they were forbidden in the sense of power games, but because they were too strong for someone unprepared. And yet, we live in an age when information is everywhere. Manipulation. You stop being predictable. You stop being compliant. You stop being merely a consumer. The system does not like this. It prefers you asleep, believing that what you see is all there, is believing that your limits are fixed. In that sense, the video, the teaching, or the truth itself is always under threat of deletion, not by accident, but by design. Awakening is not a wartime event. It is not a sudden burst of light after which everything is clear. It is more like a process of erosion. The walls of illusion crumble little by little, until one day you notice that you have been shaped by forces outside you, and that freedom begins when you stop identifying with those scripts. The hidden code becomes less hidden. You begin to sense it in the timing of events, in the synchronicities that appear, in the way silence sometimes carries more truth than words. In this introduction, you and I are not solving the code. That is not how it works. The code is not a puzzle with a single answer. It is a living language, and like all languages, it must be spoken, practiced, embodied. What I invite you to consider is the possibility that you have already glimpsed and forced you to see what truly mattered. These are not random interruptions. They are cracks in the facade of sleep. They are invitations to see more deeply. Spiritual awakening and the hidden code. Spiritual awakening and the hidden code of reality. We must step closer to the pillars that give this phrase its depth. Awakening without grounding risks floating into abstraction. While speaking of hidden codes without clarity can reduce them to mere slogans. The core themes act as anchors. They are not dogmas to be memorized, but vantage points from which you can begin to see reality differently. One of the most striking realizations that comes with awakening is the tension between appearance and essence. Human life is built upon appearances, the roles we play, the possessions we, for instance, is not a linear chain of moments but a fluid field where past, present, and future interlace. The essence of identity is not the fixed persona you call me, but a shifting awareness that witnesses all your thoughts and feelings without being confined by them. To awaken spiritually is to pierce through appearance into essence, and to recognize that essence is both more solid and more elusive than the masks it wears. The hidden code of reality is often experienced as synchronicity. These are the moments when the outer world seems to reflect your inner state with uncanny precision, when the boundary between your mind and the world appears to dissolve. A chance encounter, a phrase in a book, is sudden insight all aligning at just the right moment. Skeptics dismiss these as coincidences, but to one who is awakening, they are glimpses of the code. They are signals that the universe is not a machine but a sea. Conversation, that you are not an isolated fragment but, realizing how deeply programmed they are. Culture scripts us from birth, telling us what is normal, what is desirable, what is possible. Education molds thought into acceptable patterns, but about recognizing the invisible architecture of conditioning and stepping outside it. When you do, you see how much of what you called my life was never truly yours. It was borrowed, implanted, rehearsed. The code becomes visible here too, not as something mystical, but as the hidden software running beneath your conscious awareness. A third theme is the paradox of unity and separation. But it means understanding individuality as a wave on the ocean rather than a rock isolated on a shore. There is also the theme of courage. Awakening G is not comfortable. It demands that you face, but without it, awakening remains a concept rather than a reality. Another pillar is frequency, or resonance. This is less metaphorical than it sounds. Every thought, every emotional state, the hidden code of reality does not force you into one interpretation. It responds to the resonance you bring. This is why teachers have long emphasized the cultivation of inner states, not because operates within certain patterns, cycles, and illusions. When enough individuals begin to awaken, the collective code itself shifts. History shows moments when civilizations experienced such. Govern your mind and your life. It is cosmic because it situates you within a vast, interconnected web, where your awakening contributes to the awakening of the whole. The hidden code of reality is not a secret document stored away in some vault. It is the very fabric of existence, waiting to be recognized. The patterns are in plain sight, but only visible to eyes willing to see beyond habit. They serve as mirrors, showing truths that can be felt before they can be fully articulated. In this section, let us step into these symbolic narratives, not as entertainment, but as living. Transformation occurs. To awaken is to accept that parts of you must burn away, and that this burning is not a mistake, but an essential part of the pattern. Consider also the ancient symbol of the Maya. Reality is a cosmic illusion. In Buddhism, awakening is literally described as waking from the dream of samsara. In modern physics, the metaphor of simulation echoes the same insight. What you call reality may be a vast, structured illusion. The dream metaphor is not meant to deny the reality of your experience, but to point out that the solidity you attribute to the world is deceptive. Just as a dream feels utterly real until the moment you wake, so too does your daily life feel unquestionable until the moment you glimpse the hidden code. The teaching here is not that nothing is real, but that reality is layered, and that what you assume is final may itself be only a stage in a larger unfolding. The symbol of light and darkness also carries profound meaning. Darkness is not evil in this sense, but ignorance, the unawareness of the deeper patterns. Light is not simply brightness, but perception, the sudden clarity of seeing what was always there. Yet the relationship is not simple. Too much light too quickly can blind. Too much darkness for too long can suffocate. Awakening is the gradual adjustment of your inner vision, learning to tolerate, turning away. The hidden code becomes clear when you stop blaming the reflection and instead ask what it reveals about the one who looks. These narratives, the cave, the phoenix, the serpent. Fixed is fluid. That destruction is inseparable from renewal. That language both reveals and conceals. That perception itself is a gateway. That life is a mirror in which the hidden code constantly signals to you. To engage with these symbols is to allow them to work on you. They are not puzzles to solve, but living archetypes that shift your awareness. As you reflect on them, you begin to see the mirrors that confront you, and in that recognition, the code becomes less hidden, less abstract, more immediate. Spiritual awakening is not meant to remain a lofty abstraction or a private, mystical experience. If it does not alter how you live, relate, and act in the world, then its essence has been missed. The hidden code of reality may reveal itself in symbols, insights, or sudden flashes of perception, but its true power emerges only when it is embodied in daily life. This section explores how awakening can be integrated, not as escape from the world. Hidden code that animates you. Conflicts no longer feel like personal attacks, but as mirrors that expose unseen parts of yourself. Compassion naturally arises, not as moral duty, but as recognition. Old patterns in work and creativity. Awakening dismantles the illusion that meaning comes solely from external achievement. Instead, meaning flows from alignment. The hidden code reveals that the inhabit. In times of crisis, awakening becomes most practical. When old structures collapse, relationships end. Health falters, systems fail, the unawakened mind panics, seeking security in control. But the awakened perspective recognizes crisis as phoenix fire. Painful, yes, but also purifying. The hidden code shows that breakdowns are often breakthroughs in disguise. Integration here means holding steady in uncertainty, trusting that even in the ashes, renewal is taking shape. It means allowing the death of what no longer serves without clinging, and stepping into the unknown with faith. Even in ordinary moments, awakening transforms perception. Washing dishes, walking in the street, listening to the wind, these are no longer dismissed as trivial. The hidden code pulses through. Reality is interconnected. The logic of exploitation and harm collapses. You realize that dishonesty poisons the one who speaks it. Greed starves the one who indulges it. Violence wounds the one who inflicts it. The hidden code of reality is structured such that harm inevitably circles back. Integration here does not mean adhering to rigid rules, but living from direct perception of interconnectedness. Integrity rises naturally when you see clearly. Importantly, integration also involves inner discipline. Awakening is not a single event, but an ongoing process. And without grounding, insights fade. Practices such as meditation, contemplation, journaling, or conscious movement serve as ways of stabilizing awareness. They are not ends in themselves, but tools. Then to participate in the unfolding of collective evolution. This does not necessarily mean grand missions. Often it means living simply, truthfully, and compassionately in your own sphere. Some spiritual awakening becomes real not in visions or revelations, but in how you inhabit relationships, respond to crisis, approach your work, walk through ordinary life, and embody responsibility. The hidden code is not abstract, it is woven into every gesture, every choice, every breath. Integration is the bridge between insight and embodiment, between inner awakening and outer life. Without it, awakening remains a fleeting glimpse. With it, awakening becomes the ground of a new way of being. Spiritual awakening and the hidden code of reality are not subjects to be consumed. But what has been written here is less an argument and more an echo of something you have felt all along. It is the whisper beneath your daily noise, the pulse that calls you back when you forget. The faint reminder that there is more to you than the roles you perform or the structures you obey. Awakening is both the simplest and the most demanding of experiences. Simple, because it requires nothing external, no elaborate rituals, no exotic journeys, no authority to grant you permission. Demanding, because it asks of you what few are willing to give. The courage to look directly at your own illusions, the willingness to sit in discomfort, the resolve to let go of identities that once defined you. The hidden code of reality does not reveal itself to curiosity alone. It reveals itself to sincerity, to those who dare to walk past the thresholds of certainty into the territory of the unknown. To awaken is not to abandon the world. It is to see the world as it truly is. It is to recognize that behind the noise of commerce, politics, and distraction lies an interconnected field where every thought, word, and action carries weight. The code is not abstract, it is the law of cause and effect, the weaving of meaning into form, the recognition that nothing exists in isolation. When you awaken to this, your life shifts from unconscious repetition to conscious. Away the illusions that kept you secure. Even if they were false, it can feel like a kind of death, the death of who you thought you were, the death of beliefs that once anchored you, someone who sees the threads connecting every life, someone who lives with integrity not because of rules, but because it is impossible to do otherwise once the truth is seen. The transformational call, then, is not to believe these words but to test them in your life. Pause in your daily routine and look round. Notice the hidden order. In the chaos, the subtle intelligence in the unfolding of. By the desire to fit into patterns that no longer serve you, then ask yourself, what would it mean to live awake? Even in this very moment, this call is not urgent in the sense of time, waiting for you to read it. So the invitation is simple. Stay awake, refuse the seduction of sleep, even when it is easier. Choose clarity over comfort, truth over illusion, presence over distraction. Live as though your life itself were a message, because it is, and if you feel the pull of that hidden code, do not ignore it, for once it has spoken to you, you cannot unhear it.